in Northeast Indiana, we're experiencing a bit of a heat wave, and which is why I'm not going to be on camera today. It's very humid here. But anyhow, it is, like many of you probably, causing you to really think about your plants and keeping them hydrated. And hopefully by now you've developed some kind of a system for keeping them hydrated. But I just want to mostly just show you what I have found for our drip irrigation and how I organize it. But before I do that, I thought I might as well just give you a really quick overview of how we do set up our drip irrigation. At some point when I don't have so many plants, maybe I'll go in detail and show you step by step. There's lots of great YouTube videos out there on this too, but just let me know in the comments if it's something that someone needs a little guidance on. So anyhow, so here is a spigot. We have several of these throughout our property. They're hooked to our well and then piped kind of one to the next. They're not frost free, so we do have to blow them out every fall, just as the temperatures start to drop. As soon as it hits about 32, they do freeze up. So just be mindful of that if you do decide to get one of these kinds of systems. Okay, so we have a spigot, and then we have one of those little divider things. You can get them in, 1, 2, 3. Well, I guess you wouldn't need one, but 2 or 3 spots. So you could put a hose on that upper one just to, give you another option if you wanted. And then from there, we have a timer, and this keeps everything automated. And these can go from extremely simple to very fancy, the hook to your phone and all the things. But this is a fairly simple one. And then next to that, we have this little piece, which is a bit of a diffuser that helps keep the water pressure low. You don't want high water pressure in your irrigation, or it's going to blow all your connections. So it's designed to kind of help prevent that. So on this side, it's a dahlia bed that I have just, not dahlias, it's sunflowers, that I have just set up that I need to run irrigation to. So for now, I'm just using a hose until I get that done, and then my hose is hooked to my drip line, which is something you can do if you don't get this pipe put in place. So a hose can act as a pipe until you get everything ready to go. Okay, so then this pipe, what we use for this is a 3/4 inch pipe, and that kind of wraps around and then snakes over to our dahlia beds. And this pot we have hooked up. So another little thing that you can use, let me see if I can find it down in here. You probably have seen these little skinny tubes. I think this is a 1/4 inch tube, and then inside I do a ring, and then there's little emitters on the brown tubing about every 6 inches. And this black tube doesn't have any emitters in it, so no water comes out of that. Okay, so but for most of our row crops, we use drip tape, and that comes from that 3/4 inch pipe. And so we've taken it up, and then you can get like all these little corner pieces that, you push these together. They literally just wiggle together. I can do this like by myself. It's really, once you get the hang of it, it's not a hard system to set up. And then next to that, I use a little punch tool, and I punch a hole, and I put this little valve in, and you can get these with a valve or without a valve. And then next to that is the tape. So it's flat when there's no water in it, and then the emitters are facing up, and this tape is every 6 inches. And then there's a little end piece, which I'll show you later, that hooks onto the end to stop the water coming out at the other end. So this pipe kind of comes up and over, so it feeds 2 lines going down there, and then they end at the very end. And then, I've gone over, and then there's a little corner piece that goes down to the bottom, and then in the ground a little bit. I really need to replace my ground cover. It's been a few years, so it's starting to really show. But anyway, down a little bit, we've varied the pipe. So we use another corner down there, and a corner to go up, and a corner over, and then we just repeated it. And then at the end, we kind of circled back around and then did the same thing. And then we ended here. So it's kind of, let's see if I can find an end for you. And then we use this little piece, which I'll show you in a minute. It's this little S hook to just bend the pipe over. And that keeps the water. It's like pinching your hose. You know how when you're outside and you want to change the nozzle? It's the same kind of concept. But the nice thing about those valves is if you do have a bed like mine, for instance, these annuals, that you want more water to it, you can turn the valves on everything else off and water this more often. So like when I had little seedlings, they needed a lot more water than the tubers would in the dahlias. So it just gives you a little bit of flexibility. All right, so that's kind of our biggest field. And these rows are 72 feet long, I think. And so we have 4 on this side, 4 on this side, and then there's a row of grow bags on the back. And these rows are only 36 feet long. So just to give you an idea of what you can run on one zone, that all runs from this one spigot. And we do have really good water pressure here, even though we're on 6 acres and our well is, I don't know, it's about 1/8 of a mile away, I would guess. So it's quite a distance, and we're still able to get enough water pressure and get water all the way down to the end of that 72-foot row. So I'm very grateful for that, but those are things you need to think about when you're setting up your systems, your water pressure, and what you think you can do. All right, so now let's go and look at my new box that I'm so excited for. I'm enjoying it. I love organization, and whenever I can find something that makes that easier and just right at your fingertips, I'm all about it. So when I was looking for these boxes, there are all kinds of systems out there now at the big box stores, Lowe's, Home Depot, those kinds of places. And they come in different parts and pieces that all click together. So this bottom piece is one, like the drawers, and then these top 2 little pieces are separate and they click off. So you could build a tall tower with lots of drawers, or you can have some that have like a giant drawer. It just kind of depends on what you want or what you need. But what I wanted was something I could pick up easily, put in my golf cart, take it to the garage and put it on a shelf and be done with it. And then be able to grab it quickly when I needed to do a repair, which is why I had it out here. The biggest thing we have issues with repair is we have a puppy, and she likes to chew on the drip tape occasionally, so I'll find a leak. So I'll show you the little piece that we use to fix that. But okay, so when I was looking at systems, I can't remember if I said that, this one was just a little bit lighter than some of the other ones, and I felt like it was a little more manageable. Sorry, that thing is loud, but the nice thing about it is it just pushes right back in here and it's out of the way. And then these just open nice and easily. The other thing I was kind of looking at is making sure that I could access everything at once and have it essentially all open. All right, now that I'm making a difficult showing of this is really usually not that hard. There we go. Sometimes those 2 little things do kind of lay on each other. So then this just pops open. This pops open. So I have access to those, and then I can access my drawers all at the same time. So I really loved that feature about this system, and there's the brand there. So in here, these are all the little pieces that I like that you could take it out and take it with you if you wanted. Those are for the pots when you want to do the little tiny skinny tubes, just to make the rings and different things. Some of them have emitters, some of them have connectors, or it's a corner. There's just different things that you can do there. And then other pieces that there's different sizes of pipe. There's a 1/2-inch pipe, which sometimes you just want a little bit bigger pipe, but maybe you don't need to run as much water to a place as the other. This is the tool that I really like. It's got this metal piece here which cuts your drip tape and it cuts the tube. And I just find it just works really easy. It's something you have with you, so you aren't looking for scissors. And then there's the little punch part here at the top that punches your pipe to put in your connectors. So that fits in there, and then there's more pieces. And then down here is the things we probably use the most. So right there are those little valves. And then here is the same thing, except there is no valve. So the skinny end is what hooks into the pipe. And then the other end kind of twists onto your drip tape, and it's super easy to get on. And then that's your drip tape fixers. So you just cut a piece, out that is ripped, and then you connect one side to the other side by twisting those little green sections, I think they're green, or is it blue? I don't know, you guys, I'm colorblind. I don't see color like you do, but anyhow, and then this is the ends that you just kind of fold the tape and stick it in. That took me a little bit of a trial to try to figure out how to use those, but they're easy once you know how to do it. And then down here is just overstock and things like that. But you can set up these drawers however you want. All these little sections are removable. So anyway, I am loving this. I've used it for a few weeks now and it works really good and I have no complaints. So I just wanted to share it with you guys. So if you have any systems that you like or little things that you found that make drip irrigation easier, let us know, because it's definitely something that we're all learning. Everybody's gardens and fields are different, so there's going to be different needs, but I love learning what people love as far as their systems go.